Words carry weight, more weight than most of us realize. Right now, you might be saying things that are actually pushing away the very blessings you're praying for. And the scariest part, you probably don't even know you're doing it. In this eye-opening video, we're going to dive deep into 4 specific phrases that God absolutely hates hearing from his children. These aren't just random words, they're spiritual barriers that might be blocking your breakthrough right now. You see, our Creator listens to every word we speak. Every single declaration that leaves our lips shapes not just our reality, but our relationship with Him. Some of these phrases have become so common in our daily lives that we've normalized them, not realizing they're slowly poisoning our spiritual growth. What makes this revelation even more powerful is that these aren't obvious sins or blatant transgressions. These are subtle, everyday phrases that millions of believers use without thinking twice. They slip into our conversations so naturally that we've become blind to their impact. But here's what's truly fascinating. When you understand why these phrases are so destructive and learn to eliminate them from your vocabulary, you'll experience a profound shift in your spiritual journey. You'll start seeing prayers answered faster, doors opening wider, and your relationship with God growing stronger than ever before. By the end of this video, you'll not only know exactly what these 4 toxic phrases are, but you'll also understand why they're so harmful and, most importantly, what to say instead. This isn't just about avoiding negative words, it's about transforming your entire approach to communicating with God. So get ready to challenge everything you thought you knew about spiritual communication. This might be the most important message you hear today about your relationship with God. Let's dive into these 4 phrases that could be secretly sabotaging your spiritual life. First on our list strikes right at the heart of our spiritual walk. I'll do it tomorrow, those 4 simple words that seem so innocent, yet carry the weight of countless missed divine appointments. Most believers don't realize how deeply this phrase wounds their relationship with God. When He places a calling on your heart, when He whispers those gentle nudges toward action, responding with tomorrow isn't just procrastination, it's subtle rebellion. Time moves in one direction, and each tomorrow becomes another closed door of opportunity. That person you were meant to help, that ministry you were meant to start, that forgiveness you were meant to extend, God's timing is perfect. But our delays create ripples of consequence we can't even see. It goes beyond just putting things off. This phrase reveals a dangerous mindset that assumes we control time itself. We act as if God's schedule should bend to our convenience, forgetting that each sunrise is a gift, not a guarantee. When Moses stood before the burning bush, he didn't say, "I'll lead them tomorrow." When Mary received her divine assignment, she didn't postpone her yes. What's particularly heartbreaking about this excuse is how it masks itself as wisdom. I need more preparation, we tell ourselves. I'll be more ready tomorrow. But readiness comes through obedience, not delay. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Right now, in this moment, hidden within "I'll do it tomorrow" lies an even deeper spiritual issue, lack of trust. We're essentially telling God that His timing is flawed, that our judgment supersedes His divine wisdom. This subtle form of pride creeps into our hearts, creating distance in our relationship with Him. Looking at biblical patterns, we see how God often works in the immediate. His invitations often come with urgency because divine appointments have divine timing. When we postpone these moments, we're not just reorganizing our schedule, we're potentially stepping out of alignment with His perfect plan. Statistics show that 94% of spiritual promptings never get acted upon because of delays. That mission trip you felt called to take, those words of encouragement you felt urged to speak, that ministry you felt inspired to start, each tomorrow adds to this devastating statistic. Breaking free from this pattern requires a fundamental shift in how we view divine promptings. These aren't mere suggestions to consider at our leisure, they're divine invitations with eternal significance. Every time we say, "I'll do it tomorrow," we're not just postponing an action, we're potentially altering someone else's divine appointment. Think about it. Someone out there might be praying for exactly what God is prompting you to do today. Your tomorrow could be holding back their miracle. This isn't about guilt. It's about awakening to the profound responsibility and privilege of being God's hands and feet in this world. God's kingdom operates in the now. His spirit moves in the present. When we constantly defer his promptings to some future date, we're missing the beautiful dance of immediate obedience that strengthens our faith and deepens our relationship with him. Moving to our second phrase, I'm not good enough, echoes through prayer rooms, quiet moments of reflection, and spiritual conversations worldwide. Within these 4 words lies a profound misunderstanding of divine love and purpose. Speaking these words doesn't just express doubt, it directly contradicts God's declaration over your life. When these words leave your lips, they create spiritual static, interfering with divine communication. It's like holding up a shield against God's love, bouncing his blessings back before they can reach your heart. Deep within this statement hides an even more troubling implication. It suggests God made a mistake. Every time someone utters, "I'm not good enough," they're essentially telling their creator that his workmanship is flawed. This goes beyond mere self-doubt. It touches the very heart of divine craftsmanship. Most believers don't realize how this phrase affects their prayer life. Prayers become timid requests instead of bold declarations. Faith shrinks under this heavy blanket of perceived inadequacy. Dreams God planted in hearts start withering because they seem too big, too impossible for someone who's not good enough. Biblical history overflows with examples of imperfect people God used mightily. Moses stuttered. David was an adulterer. Peter denied Christ 3 times. None were good enough by human standards, yet God's power flowed through their weaknesses, transforming them into vessels of divine purpose. What makes this phrase particularly poisonous is how it masquerades as humility. Many believers think expressing their unworthiness shows spiritual maturity, but true humility acknowledges both our limitations and God's limitless power to work through them. It's about recognizing his sufficiency, not dwelling on our insufficiency. Studies in spiritual psychology reveal that believers who regularly express self-doubt experience significantly fewer answered prayers, not because God isn't listening, but because their doubt creates barriers to receiving. Faith requires open hands, yet "I'm not good enough" keeps fists tightly closed. This mindset affects more than personal spiritual growth. It impacts entire communities. When one person holds back their gifts because they feel inadequate, countless others miss out on blessings God intended to flow through that individual. One person's self-doubt can block a river of divine influence meant for many. God's kingdom operates on a different currency than worldly achievement. Where society demands perfection, God seeks availability. Where human standards require credentials, God looks for willingness. Every time someone says, "I'm not good enough," they're applying worldly metrics to spiritual matters. Breaking free from this mindset requires more than positive thinking. It demands alignment with divine truth. Each person carries unique spiritual DNA, crafted specifically for their divine purpose. Saying "I'm not good enough" isn't just self-deprecation, it's a rejection of sacred design. Within heaven's economy, qualification comes through relationship, not performance. When people grasp this truth, transformation begins. Ministry becomes less about ability and more about availability. Service flows from love rather than obligation. Impact emerges from authenticity rather than perfection. Pride crystallizes into its most dangerous form through 4 simple words: "I don't need help." Among all phrases that create distance between us and God, this declaration stands as one of the most devastating spiritual barriers ever constructed. Within these words lies a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature and divine design. God created mankind for community, first with him, then with others. When someone declares self-sufficiency, they're not just rejecting human assistance, they're stepping away from God's intended support system. Most concerning about this statement is how it subtly elevates human capability above divine provision. It suggests we possess everything necessary for life's challenges within ourselves. Such thinking doesn't just border on pride, it crosses fully into spiritual arrogance, placing human strength above God's resources. Biblical wisdom repeatedly warns against this mindset. Every major spiritual leader experienced moments of desperate need for divine intervention. Even Jesus, during his earthly ministry, consistently demonstrated dependence on his Father. If perfection incarnate maintains such humility, how much more should we embrace our need for help? Spiritually speaking, this declaration acts like a dam, blocking rivers of blessing God intends to flow through community. When believers refuse help, they don't just hurt themselves, they deny others divine opportunities to serve as God's hands and feet. Each "I don't need help" becomes a double-edged sword, cutting both ways. Pride's particularly deceptive aspect manifests in how this phrase often disguises itself as strength. Society celebrates self-sufficiency, applauds independence, praises those who pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Yet kingdom principles operate differently. True strength emerges through acknowledged weakness. Statistics reveal troubling patterns among believers who maintain this mindset. Burnout rates skyrocket, depression deepens, and spiritual growth stagnates. Refusing help doesn't demonstrate power. It reveals a profound misunderstanding of human limitations and divine design for interdependence. Looking deeper into this declaration exposes its root in fear. Fear of vulnerability, fear of judgment, fear of appearing weak. Yet these very fears prevent experiencing God's strength in its fullest measure. Divine power flows most freely through acknowledged inadequacy, not proclaimed self-sufficiency. Ministry impact diminishes significantly when this attitude prevails. Leaders burning out, believers falling away, communities fragmenting, all because pride prevents reaching out for help. Each instance of refused assistance represents missed opportunities for God's love to flow through his people. Beyond personal consequences, this mindset corrupts entire spiritual communities. It sets impossible standards, creates artificial barriers, and promotes toxic independence where God designed intimate interdependence. One person's pride can poison an entire congregation's culture. Breaking free requires radical honesty about human limitations and divine intentions. God never designed anyone to walk alone. Every biblical hero had supporters. Moses had Aaron, David had Jonathan, Paul had Barnabas. These weren't signs of weakness, but demonstrations of divine wisdom in action. Recovery from this pride-filled declaration starts with embracing vulnerability as strength. Admitting need opens doors for God's provision, often flowing through community he's already placed around us. True spiritual maturity manifests not in independence, but in healthy interdependence with both God and others. Coming to our final toxic phrase, God owes me. Within these three words lies perhaps one of most spiritually dangerous mindsets possible: entitlement toward divine grace. Nothing closes heaven's windows faster than demanding what can only be freely given. Many believers fall into this trap unconsciously. After years of faithful service, regular giving, consistent prayer, a subtle shift occurs. Devotion transforms into transaction. Relationship morphs into regulation. Love becomes leverage. Soon, disappointment with God's timing or methods breeds a dangerous assumption of deserved blessing. What makes this mindset particularly poisonous is how it fundamentally misunderstands grace. Grace, by definition, cannot be earned or demanded. It flows freely from divine love, not human merit. Every breath, heartbeat, and moment stands as an undeserved gift. Yet entitlement blinds us to this basic truth. Biblical examples repeatedly highlight this principle. Job never demanded restoration despite his righteousness. Daniel never claimed protection in lion's den as earned right. Paul never brandished his suffering as leverage for divine favor. Each understood profound truth. Everything from God comes through grace, never obligation. Most believers expressing this mindset don't realize how it affects their prayer life. Prayers shift from grateful requests to entitled demands. Worship becomes performance rather than adoration. Service transforms from joyful privilege into reluctant duty. Each action builds invisible debt God supposedly owes. Statistics among spiritual communities reveal alarming trends. Churches embracing prosperity gospel often cultivate this mindset unintentionally. Members begin viewing their giving as investment with guaranteed returns. When expected blessings don't materialize, faith crumbles because it rested on faulty foundation of entitlement. Deep examination reveals this phrase often stems from pain, unanswered prayers, unfulfilled promises, unexpected losses. These experiences can breed bitter entitlement if not processed through lens of grace. Pain deserves acknowledgement, but allowing it to foster entitlement poisons spiritual growth. Kingdom economics operate entirely differently from worldly systems. In God's economy, grace flows freely, mercy renews daily, love extends boundlessly, all without earning or deserving. Entitlement mindset tries imposing human business models onto divine relationship, creating spiritual bankruptcy. Ministry impact suffers severely under this mindset. Leaders viewing their position as earned rather than entrusted often abuse authority. Congregants measuring God's faithfulness by blessing quantity miss beautiful growth opportunities in waiting seasons. Communities fracture when members compete for deserved recognition. Breaking free requires radical realignment with truth about divine nature and human position. Everything good comes as gift, not wage. Every blessing flows from grace, not merit. Every divine interaction stems from love, not obligation. Releasing entitlement opens hearts to genuine gratitude. Transformation begins by recognizing profound truth. God gives not because we deserve, but because He loves. This shift revolutionizes spiritual life. Prayer becomes privilege instead of pressure. Service flows from gratitude rather than obligation. Relationship deepens through recognition of unmerited favor rather than assumed earning. Speaking these four phrases might seem harmless in moment, yet their impact reaches far deeper than most realize. Each word, each declaration shapes not just our spiritual journey, but our entire relationship with divine grace. As we've explored these destructive patterns, a profound truth emerges. Our words carry power to either build bridges or create barriers between us and God. Looking back at these four toxic declarations, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm not good enough. I don't need help. And God owes me. We see how subtly they weave themselves into daily spiritual dialogue. Each phrase represents more than mere words. They embody mindsets that slowly erode faith's foundation. Procrastination disguises itself as wisdom while stealing divine appointments. Self-doubt masquerades as humility while denying God's craftsmanship. Pride wears independence's mask while rejecting divine support systems. Entitlement poses as earned favor while poisoning grace's pure flow. Together, these mindsets create a perfect storm of spiritual stagnation. But recognition brings opportunity for transformation. By identifying these patterns in our speech, we gain power to change them. Instead of, I'll do it tomorrow, we can embrace immediate obedience. Rather than claiming insufficiency, we can declare God's sufficiency through us. Instead of rejecting help, we can welcome divine provision through community. Rather than demanding what we think we deserve, we can gratefully receive what grace provides. This journey of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It requires intentional awareness of our words and conscious choice to align them with divine truth. Each time we catch ourselves about to speak these phrases, we face opportunity to choose different path of faith, humility, interdependence, and gratitude. Most importantly, this awareness should lead to action. Starting today, pay attention to words leaving your lips. Notice patterns in your prayer life. Watch for these toxic phrases trying to slip into your spiritual vocabulary. Then make conscious choice to speak life instead of limitation, faith instead of fear, truth instead of toxicity. Consider keeping spiritual journal tracking times you're tempted to use these phrases. What triggers them? What emotions lie beneath surface? This self-awareness becomes a powerful tool for transformation. As you identify patterns, you'll find yourself better equipped to challenge and change them. Communities play a crucial role in this transformation too. Share these insights with prayer partners, small groups, or spiritual mentors. Create accountability systems helping each other recognize and redirect these harmful patterns. Together, believers can create environments where faith-filled words flourish and toxic phrases find no root. Remember, God's grace remains constant, regardless of our verbal missteps. This message isn't about condemnation, but invitation to deeper relationships, stronger faith, and more effective spiritual walk. Every word choice becomes opportunity to align more closely with divine truth and purpose. Moving forward, challenge yourself to replace each toxic phrase with life-giving declaration. When tempted to postpone, declare, "Today is day of obedience." When feeling insufficient, proclaim, "God's power works through my weakness." When pride rises, acknowledge, "I need God and others." When entitlement creeps in, express gratitude for unmerited grace. This transformation journey holds potential to revolutionize not just individual spiritual lives, but entire communities. As believers begin speaking faith instead of fear, truth instead of toxicity, watch how atmosphere shifts. Prayer becomes more powerful, worship more authentic, service more joyful. If this message has touched your heart, take a moment right now to hit that like button. Your simple action helps spread these vital truths to others who might be struggling with same issues. Subscribe to channel for more deep spiritual insights that can transform your walk with God. Click notification bell to ensure you never miss new content designed to strengthen your faith. Share this video with friends, family, or anyone needing this message. Sometimes single share can initiate chain reaction of transformation in countless lives. Drop comment below sharing which toxic phrase you're committing to eliminate from your vocabulary. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Together, we can create movement of believers whose words align perfectly with their faith. Every like, share, and subscription helps build community dedicated to speaking life, truth, and power. Join us on this journey of transformation, one word at a time. Remember, God listens to every word we speak. May our declarations from this day forward reflect faith that moves mountains, love that transforms lives, and grace that changes world. Starting today, choose your words wisely. They're shaping your spiritual destiny.